Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we currently have two modules on the way over to Duna. And the first one to arrive, I believe, was supposed to be the greenhouse module. That will arrive in 273 days for the Ike encounter. That's good enough. And the storage module is going to be in 319 days. Okay, so yeah, definitely the greenhouse module. Let's go ahead and fly this, and we are just going to bring that on in. Now, currently, our Kerbals are dehydrated over on Duna, and that's absolutely fine. We're going to rehydrate them when we get there. No big deal. The real question is, how are we going to go about landing this thing? We know that last time we landed, we had a small problem with the wheels exploding, but I think as long as we're more careful, we burn the sky crane a little earlier, it should theoretically be okay. So our next step is to enter orbit around Duna, but we don't know what our resulting orbit is going to be. That's the core issue, because we've got that Ike encounter. So we'll focus our view over on Duna. We've got this Ike encounter here, and we kind of need to warp to here. So let's go. We'll keep an eye on how we're doing on our life support, but we expect this to be in a pretty decent state. I'm not expecting to have to run our life support at all at this point. So this will be absolutely a-okay, and we'll have plenty of life support once we get there. So no issue there. Yeah, this is absolutely fine. We're going to be coming on in here in, well, another 6 months, but that's absolutely fine. And of course, this is the majority of the warp time that we have to do for our storage module as well, which will be arriving approximately 100 days after this. So that's very convenient. So we're going to hop on in here, but once we get here, that's when we're going to be able to see what our resulting orbit is going to be after the Ike encounter. The Ike encounter makes things very awkward for us because we just don't know as of right now. But let's see what that ends up looking like. We'll know here in about 50 days. Keeping an eye on our life support, everything looks absolutely a-okay here. We've only used like a third of our oxygen, and our food we've used about a quarter of. Our water, not even close to that, like an eighth of our water. So now we're in here, and we can see we're actually in a collision course at this moment. So we need to adjust our orbit. We'll add our maneuver here, and I think a little bit of radial directionality would do the trick. Yeah, something about like that. The inclination is not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. We'll just park it somewhere around here. This is about 3 meters per second that we need to do to adjust this. Okay, that's not bad. We'll align to that node and physics warp our way on through. This burn is going to be in 46 minutes. Oh, we're thrust limited. 3 meters per second should not be a 2-minute burn. That's for sure. So this is a 0.8 second burn. I'm not actually going to burn it quite like that. In fact, I'm going to burn it right about now. I just wanted to know approximately what this is. We're going to kind of ignore the overall maneuver here. And we're just going to position ourselves for, this is what, radial out, I think? So orbital, radial plus, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this has got to be radial plus. Okay, let's just burn this gently here. That's good enough. Okay, so from here, we need to warp to about, well, we need to warp into this encounter. And the question is, how much is this going to change by? Well, we're in physics warp right now. So let's do a regular time warp. That's fine. I don't mind that change. So that looks good. In we come. We're now in our Ike encounter. Okay. And now, of course, we're just going to warp through our Ike encounter here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why did it not pull us out of auto warp when we exited Ike? We just massively overshot there. It should have pulled us out of auto warp. Okay, well, we need to go to retrograde. That's very awkward indeed. Can we turn, please? Let's get to retrograde. Because we need to correct this orbit. This burn is not ideal now. The game should have dropped us out of auto warp when we changed Sphere of Influence. I don't know why it didn't. That was very strange, but we can deal with it. We've got enough DV, I think. So all we need to do at this point is we need to burn relatively retrograde and get ourselves to the point where we're burning basically at Duna at this point. So if we were to set Duna as our target, we'd want to burn at target. So you can see here, we're burning close to at Duna. Not exactly, but yeah, we just need to slow down a bit. This is not an ideal time to do this burn, that's for sure. But we'll get a better time for it. But this is going to delay things a little bit. Doesn't matter, we've got like a 100-day window here, so I'm not very concerned about it. We can see here that our Duna escape is going to be in 1 day, 5 hours, and 40 minutes, and heading upwards. And let's just physics warp here. We need to slow down about another 200 meters per second. Okay, so about another 100-ish meters per second, I think. But this is still definitely not ideal timing for this burn. Okay, we're starting to see this move quite a bit. That's a good sign. Okay, we're roughly at orbital velocity now, but because we're so high up, we need to slow down more. So we're absolutely going to do that, and this is going to bring us in very awkwardly, but it's okay. I think. Delta V might be an issue here. Okay, coming out of physics warp. Okay, so we can see at this point that our periapsis is too low. We're in a decent-ish inclination, so that's something. We can set Ike as our target and change our inclination here if we wanted to. We're in 178.2. We're retrograde? I guess technically we are retrograde. Okay, well, we would have been either way, I think, now that I think about it. So that's not really an issue there. The main issue at this point is that we need to set our... Well, we could actually, up here, we could flip our directionality. This would be relatively cheap to do here. So if we did that, we could flip our directionality here and then have our periapsis be about 60 kilometers. The question there is, if our periapsis is 60 kilometers, what is it going to cost us to circularize? The answer is it's going to cost somewhere around 360 meters per second. We don't have 360 meters per second unless we start looting fuel from our sky crane. Which we can do. That's going to put us very, 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 very tight on the fuel. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to loot all of the fuel out of the sky crane. Now, we need fuel in the sky crane. We cannot burn all of this fuel. That's understood. What we're going to do now is we're going to align for this node, and I'm going to get rid of this node for right now. This is not relevant at this time. It will be relevant later. So there we go. Now then, we need to align to the node, so we'll physics warp our turn. We're still turning quite slowly, and that's understood. We've got 510 meters per second overall here, and we're going to want to burn as little of it as possible. That time warp issue definitely did some damage to us here. There's no doubt about that. Because we're going to need some deorbit, and then we're going to need some landing. That said, we did increase our number of engines on this. So as long as we have some fuel for our sky crane, it should be fine. We're going to warp on up. This is going to be 25 of our 100 days. And it looks like our orbit changed on us a little bit when we started this warp. Okay, we're probably going to have to tweak our existing situation here. Let's come on out and let's tweak this. So this is going to be, from here, we're going to add a retrograde burn, flip our directionality, And then the idea here is that we need to... Oh, really? We've got an Ike encounter right there. Okay. Well, we just need to pull this out to about here. Okay. The Ike encounter is cleared. So that's fine. Let's bring this down to about 55 kilometers if we can. That's a little too low there. Okay. 53, 54, and 55. We'll call that good. Aligned to this node, 22.2 meters per second. Okay. This is going to be close. This is going to be real close. We're probably going to land pretty far away, and I'll probably do the driving off camera, but that's fine. So at this point, let's go ahead and I'm not going to auto warp. I'm going to regular warp here, because we know auto warping can cause problems. So here we are at 10,000 X, and that'll do for now. We just don't want to overshoot this, right? So we're just slowly making our way on up. We've got about 12 days left in this warp. That overshoot really messed us up. Like, tremendously. This is going to be so much spicier now. 7 days. 6 days. 5 days. 4. 3. 2. 1. Okay, we overshot it a little bit. That's fine. It doesn't really matter all that much. So now we just need to get our periapsis up. I'm going to call that good. So with our periapsis here, we are going to add a maneuver, and this is going to be a retrograde burn, and we're just going to try to circularize this up. We could aerobrake. That is a theoretical option. But I don't think that it's actually necessary here. We've got 488 meters per second here. This is going to be 366. We need to have enough for our landing burn. And then we need to have enough for our entry burn. And our entry burn, we'd like to have be pretty significant, right? We know that the parachutes brought us down pretty low. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to loot the fuel here immediately. And we'll see how many meters per second that is. It's probably not very many. So we're bringing that back in. And we're trying to head over to the node at the same time, although we're not doing that very successfully. And I would definitely like to loot this as well, if we can. Stop. In. Out? I don't know why we're not able to move fuel here. That's odd. Now we can. Okay. Who knows? So we're doing that, but I'm just checking to see how much fuel we have with a, like, how much delta V we have with a fully fueled Sky Crane. That's the current question. We have some, for sure. Okay, 331 is the answer. So I'm going to flow this fuel from the nose cone back out. Never mind, it's not going. There we go. So flow that back out. That gives us 348. That's very, very close. One of these days it'll work. There we go. So we'll just flow this all out for now. And we know that we have overall 488 meters per second. But I'm thinking that we actually want this to be back in here. So we'll just keep it in the nose cone for now. And that seems good. Now, I'm going to quick save here because we really do need to auto-warp this, and we'll see how much this changes by. It didn't change. Okay, perfect. So we're auto-warping on in. You can see we're coming in the opposite direction now. This is now a prograde orbit rather than a retrograde orbit. And that seems absolutely great. We're building up speed, but we're not building it very quickly. Right now, we're traveling at about 20 meters per second. And Duna's way out over there. So this got a lot spicier than I was planning for it to get. That's for sure. And it's all because we overshot the warp. I still don't understand why it didn't exit warp when we changed sphere of influence from Ike to Duna. It really should have. But okay, we can make this work, I think. I'm 95% sure that we can make this work. How much burn time do we have in this stage right now? It claims 0 seconds. I don't know if it doesn't pull from this hemispherical liquid fuel tank. Maybe it doesn't. But we've got a little bit of header tank fuel reserved for our landing, just in case. We'll have a little bit of extra, I believe, as well. So that's fine. As of right now, we're going to be commencing this burn in approximately 1 minute, and I'm going to physics warp this because we are still aligning a little bit here. 50 seconds. 40. 30. Approximately. 20 seconds. Okay. We can exit physics warp and go into regular warp. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. And it looks like we have 3 seconds of burn time up here at full burn. Okay. So that is noted. We are getting our orbit nice and circularized at this point. So now we're not going to be messed with by Ike as of now. That's very, very good. We don't want our orbit to be messed with. Our inclination is off by 1 degree, but honestly, I don't think there's much we can do about that. We just don't have the fuel. I'm not going to adjust it. We're just going to have to drive, and that's okay. So then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find ourselves a time to land where we can land at least somewhat close to this thing. I want to have maybe like 10-ish seconds of burn time up here. We've got 3 right now. So we're definitely going to need to have some more fuel flowed up into the sky crane. But oof. That warp really messed us up. That cost us, I think, probably like 400 meters per second. It's still doable, but barely. We're going to have about 100 meters per second here to work with. Okay. This is not the orbit I was promised. Well, that's inauspicious. So at this point, we have to twist our orbit a little bit. We have to do a radial burn here. This is not ideal at all. This is not the orbit we were aiming for. We need to bring down our apoapsis and up our periapsis. Basically, what we need to do is we need to go to the apoapsis here, and we need to push this up. That's what we need to do right now. We're heading towards the apoapsis. So this is going to, unfortunately, be an additional 19 meters per second that we really can't afford here. But we're not in the correct phase to go in for a landing right now. We have to burn at least this. Okay. It's very not ideal. We can drive this, assuming we get the landing safely. But this has been kind of cursed thus far. Speaking of cursed, we are not really rotating the right direction. Let's freeze these physics. And let's get rotated on up. Head to the node, please. There we go. Now we're turning in approximately the correct direction. Okay, the curse continues. If we've only got 3 seconds of burn time in this, that's still probably fine-ish. We just need to cushion our landing, right? And we just need to be very, very cautious with it. Let's warp on around. And our apoapsis is definitely higher than we'd like it to be. So we need to warp a little further here. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, we'll call that good. 52 kilometer periapsis. That seems great. Now, up over here, or rather down over here, I should say, we need to drop our apoapsis as well. This is good enough. That's an additional 18 meters per second. So let's just make our way back to the node here. And then we're going to need to get ourselves down into the atmosphere. And we're going to have to try to guesstimate when the drag is going to slow us enough. That's going to be spicy. So let's warp on around. And I saw a jump there. What's this going to be? That's reasonable. I think that's fine. Okay, so another 18 meters per second that we really can't afford to put into this. But we really, really need to. This is a retrograde burn, and this is unlike the prograde burn that we just did. This is actually speed that we have to get rid of at some point anyway. So that's reasonably fine. We've got about 20 seconds here. 10 and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, I'm going to call that good. We're going to save that 0.3 meters per second. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal all of this fuel. We're going to take it from here. We're going to take it from here. We're going to take it from here. This isn't flowing. Let's try that again. There we go. And we're going to take it from here. This one isn't flowing either. So all of that fuel is moving up into here. There we go. Now that hasn't updated our delta V up here yet. I'm wondering actually, what is the efficiency of this? It doesn't say unless we're running the engine. Oh, that's awkward. Specific impulse of 350 seconds. Specific impulse of 0.0 seconds. Maybe if we activated the engine, it would tell us. Yeah, 290 seconds. Okay. So now that we've got all of our fuel in one tank here, I just didn't want the fuel spread out amongst these tanks. I'm going to pull the fuel back down here. We're going to be more efficient to burn in vacuum with this engine. So we're going to want to harvest that fuel back out. And we're going to want to very, very lightly do this. No, not the quad comsat relay. Focus on Duna, please. Thank you. That's an autosave. That did not focus on Duna. There we go. So now what we need to do is we need to warp around a little while. I'm going to put in a quick save here, and we're going to warp a little bit here because we need this to be in daylight. So eventually it'll come around here. There we go. And now what we need to do is we need to guesstimate where we need to start our entry here. Now, this burn is going to be somewhere around here, but we need to wait in orbit, I think. And that's going to be sometime around here, but that's going to need to be... It's 9.2 meters per second. I'm going to say we have a budget of 13 meters per second for this. So that's 12 and 13. That's our deorbit burn. It's not much of a deorbit burn, but it will deorbit us eventually. So I'm going to estimate here or so. Maybe even a little further. Like here. And actually, I'm going to make this be 15 meters per second. Okay, I'm just going to do it here. Minus 15. There we go. 15 meters per second is our budget. That'll bring us down to about 30 kilometers, and hopefully that will be enough. If it's not, we can do a burn with our sky crane above here or something like that. We'll see. But we just have to guesstimate this. Keep in mind, this is going to move this way a little bit as we do this. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to do this. It's going to be spicy. We're not going to have a lot of fuel. But it's okay. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. And yes, I thought about reverting it after that time warp snafu. I decided not to. This seems more interesting.